Broncos country, Denver just fired the ultimate shot to cap off a near-perfect offseason, locking down Nick Bonitto. And trust me, this deal is even better than most fans realize. The Broncos are planting their flag in the AFC West, turning chaos around the division into fuel, and setting themselves up for a playoff run that feels inevitable. Nick Bonitto didn't just flash last season, he was in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. And now? Denver has secured him at a price that feels unreal. A guaranteed $26.5 million, with escalators up to $30 million if he keeps dominating. That's it. That's all it takes to keep one of the NFL's most dangerous pass rushers in orange and blue. Compare that to what stars like Micah Parsons and TJ Watt are getting paid. This deal is a flat-out steal. The Broncos didn't just sign a player, they secured a cornerstone, a leader, and one of the most relentless young defenders in the league. This isn't just a good signing. It's the kind of move that changes the trajectory of a season. Denver is locked, loaded, and hungry, and Nick Bonitto is about to unleash chaos on every quarterback in sight. Nick Bonitto can finally breathe easy. The contract is signed, the future secured, and now he steps onto the field with one focus: bringing a championship to Denver. His reaction said it all, retweeting the news with a simple message: "Let's go win this championship." The response has been overwhelming. Teammates flooded social media with praise, celebrating not just the player, but the man who earned this deal. Well deserved. Let's go. That was the theme across the roster, a united front ready for battle. And here's the truth: Bonitto is worth far more than what he just signed for. His talent, his production, his upside, it screams superstar money, the kind of deal players like Micah Parsons command. Yet Denver locked him down at a fraction of that cost. But this deal isn't just about Bonitto. It's about the Broncos sending a message to the league: we take care of our own. Look across the NFL, players holding out, asking for trades, frustrated by front offices dragging their feet. Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati. Micah Parsons waiting in Dallas. Even situations in Kansas City and Las Vegas where stars are left wondering if they'll ever get their due. In Denver? None of that chaos. The Broncos ownership handled this with class and precision, rewarding a cornerstone player before frustration could even enter the conversation. That's why the locker room is buzzing. That's why the fan base feels united. This is how a championship culture is built, by proving to your stars that their loyalty will be honored. What makes this Denver Broncos team feel so different? It's the chemistry. Ownership, front office, and coaching staff are working in lockstep, and that kind of unity is the foundation of every true Super Bowl contender. And at the heart of it all is Nick Bonitto, a player whose talent cannot be ignored. The first thing you notice is his explosion off the line. The ball is snapped, and in less than a heartbeat, 0.76 seconds, he's already in motion, bending the edge in a way few linemen in the league can even dream of stopping. His get-off speed is elite, his bend is freakish, and the result is chaos for opposing quarterbacks. Last season, Bonitto didn't just flash potential, he delivered. He recorded 54 pressures, ranking among the league leaders, while finishing third in total sacks with 13.5. And remember, he wasn't even a starter at this point a year ago. Now, not only is he a starter, he's a cornerstone. Bonitto isn't just about sacks either, he's a playmaker in every sense. A fumble recovery for a touchdown. A pick six. Game-changing plays that flip momentum in an instant. Think back to that preseason battle with the San Francisco 49ers, where Bonitto single-handedly wrecked an entire drive. Even Kyle Shanahan admitted afterward, he ruined that whole series. That's what Nick Bonitto does, he ruins offensive game plans. For years, Denver longed for another edge rusher to break double-digit sacks. Not since Bradley Chubb had the Broncos seen it. Bonitto shattered that barrier, storming past 10 sacks and finishing with 13.5. And the scary part? He's just getting started. And here's the most exciting part, Nick Bonito is still learning. He's only 25 years old, the same age as some rookies just entering the league. He's bulked up, he's training with relentless energy, and he's only scratching the surface of what he can become. That's the beauty of this Broncos offseason. The ownership group didn't just lock down Bonito, they delivered across the board. Look at the roster additions: Talanoa Hufanga, a captain the 49ers desperately wanted to keep. Dre Greenlaw, another cornerstone piece stolen away from San Francisco's core. Evan Engram, a dynamic weapon coveted by Jim Harbaugh, who chose Denver instead. And J.K. Dobbins, the most dangerous running back in the AFC West last season, now wearing orange and blue. Every move felt calculated. Every signing carried weight. The Broncos didn't just reload, they rebuilt a roster that feels destined for something greater. And now, with Bonito secured and reinforcements everywhere, this team looks like a powder keg waiting to explode. The draft brought even more firepower to Denver. Jade Barron, a top 10 caliber talent, somehow slipped into the Broncos' hands. R.J. Harvey, a player analysts are already calling the steal of the draft. Pat Bryant, another underrated gem, adds to the arsenal. These aren't just rookies, they're difference makers. And here's the most telling part: 3 veterans, all in contract years, had nothing but praise for this team. No drama. No negativity. Just trust between ownership and players. That's rare in today's NFL. Most franchises deal with holdouts, public frustrations, or whispers of trades. Not in Denver. This team feels united in a way that only contenders do. Even Adam Schefter has highlighted what's happening in the Mile High City. The Broncos ownership group isn't just wealthy, they're smart, decisive, and fully invested in building a championship culture. General Manager George Paton himself called Greg Penner the smartest man in any room he walks into. And the results are showing. This isn't just about one off-season. This is about a franchise laying down roots for long-term dominance. The Broncos are back to being uncommon, and uncommon teams are the ones still standing deep into January, chasing glory. One reason Denver could pull this off comes down to ownership power. To sign deals like Bonito's, franchises must place massive sums in escrow up front, and not every team has the pockets to do that. The Broncos do. In just the past year, Denver has committed nearly $500 million to secure their core, and Bonito is the latest example of that commitment. And here's where it gets unbelievable: if Bonito simply repeats last season with 13 sacks, his market value would skyrocket. We're talking about a player who could demand $40 million a year, and that still might be a bargain compared to what Micah Parsons just secured at $47 million annually. Yet Denver locked him in at half that price. Half. For a player who finished top 3 in sacks last season. For a player whose production per game stacks right alongside the very best in football. This isn't just a good contract, it's one of the best deals in the entire NFL. Denver is paying Nick Bonito like a top 10 pass rusher when, in reality, he's already proven he belongs in the top 3. Add in the fact that his rookie contract is still in place for this year, and the Broncos have pulled off one of the greatest value signings you'll see. The truth is simple: this deal was highway robbery. Denver just pulled off one of the greatest steals of the offseason. Nick Bonito is being paid nearly $20.5 million less per year than Micah Parsons, despite producing more sacks and even more game-changing plays like defensive touchdowns. That's not just a bargain. That's a kill shot in what was already a phenomenal offseason for the Broncos. And the reaction around the league says it all. Even players from other teams, like John Franklin Myers, immediately showed respect, congratulating Bonito and recognizing the culture Denver is building. When rivals applaud your moves, you know you've done something right. But here's the most telling part: Bonito himself chose this path. He could have pushed for more. He could have waited for the market to explode. Instead, he signed a deal that proves he believes in Denver, in this ownership, and in the vision of what's being built here. This wasn't just a contract. It was a statement. Nick Bonito wants to bring a championship to the Mile High City, and he's willing to take less to do it. That's the kind of loyalty, the kind of belief, that transforms a talented roster into a contender. Nick Bonito didn't just sign a contract, he made a commitment. A commitment to Denver, to his teammates, and to the fans who've waited for this moment. What feels like a steal now will look like one of the greatest bargains in football 2 years from today. Skeptics might wonder if he can repeat his dominance. But make no mistake, Bonito isn't a one-year wonder. He's a rising star who already entered the Defensive Player of the Year conversation last season, and he's only 25. With 13.5 sacks and the league lead in pressures, he showed the NFL exactly what he's capable of. And the truth is, he's just scratching the surface. Now he gets to play loose, free, and hungrier than ever. Surrounded by a roster rebuilt through smart signings, guided by ownership that refuses to settle for mediocrity, and backed by a fanbase desperate for greatness, the stage is set. The Denver Broncos have the owners. They have the quarterback. They have the defense. And with Nick Bonito locked in, they have the edge rusher who can tilt the balance of power in the AFC. This is bigger than a contract. This is the spark of a new era in Denver. Broncos country, get ready, because the fight for glory has only just begun.